What's up, everyone? Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the Man Cave Sports Talk podcast, where you're going to get real talk, real sports, no agendas, just passion. I'm your boy, the Sacktown Packhound, with my co-host, Tim the Packer Hill. And without further ado, let's go! All right, Tim, let's get into this open discussion. And I was thinking about this last week after the Kevin Durant incident. And what should the penalty be for fans who go overboard with players? And I'm kind of split on this because, number one, there's no real way to judge this because it's always going to be he say, she say. So there's no way to really know what was really said. And to a certain extent, to those people that pay that amount of money, yeah, you should be able to talk a little smack.
I agree.
But you also got to understand those players are in their work environment. That's their job. And certain words can't be said. Like, someone comes to my job and they call me a bitch, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, no. Okay. If I call you a bitch right now, we're good. But
we know each other.
Correct.
Right?
The fans that are up close and personal, floor seats, $10,000 a ticket, all the luxury, you're all famous somehow. They interact with the players a lot. You don't see
Not all of them. Some of them do.
A lot of them do. They'll talk to them running down the court. Mm-hmm. They'll talk to them when they're inbound in the ball. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's probably a line that has to be drawn, but where would you put that? See, I don't know how you could, especially with the black and white cultures. Mm-hmm. It's a lot different. Mm-hmm. You know that black people talk to black people differently than a white person and a black person do. Mm-hmm. So how do you intermix all of the different races that are involved, as well as the type of wording you want to use to these players?
Well, see, from someone that is in an interracial relationship and has always been my whole life and has grown up predominantly around black people, I will say that word, if you say bitch to a black man, you're going to have a problem. Now, you could probably call a lot of white dudes a bitch. You call a black dude a bitch, it's going to be a problem. And where I say is what I hate is, to me, a lot of the people in the stands pop off at the mouth. I think it's cowardly. And the reason I say that is because if you saw that person on the street, you're not going to open your mouth. But because you know they can't do anything, you know that. So you feel free to be able to pop off and call them, your mom's a this and that, you're a bitch, all this other stuff. But if you saw one of them on the street, you would be tight-lipped and you put your head down and walk right past them.
A lot of people may.
99% of people would.
I would not be one of them. Because if you're going to do something to me off of the court or on the court, you're still going to get in the same amount of trouble. You're still going to get the same lawsuit filed.
But they're not doing, but see, that's just it. They're not doing anything to the people in the stands. They're playing the game. That's all. They're not paying attention to them. They're not turning around disrespecting the people in the stands. The people in the stands are trying to get a reaction. And granted, if a player comes back at them, you're giving them what they want. And most of the people are drunk, and I understand that as well. Mm. But they're not even giving them the time of day, and they're trying to go out of their way to get the attention that they're seeking. And when the only way to really do that sometimes is to cross that line. But then when they cross that line and then the players do something, now the players are in trouble. They're suspended. It leads to a lot bigger things.
Yeah, I'm on the side of, I bought a ticket. It cost me this much money. Yes, you are doing your job, but as a fan of the home team, I would make sure that I did my job to get you off your game. So if I got to call you, whatever I got to call you, to get you to think about me instead of what you're doing, and it helps my team win, I'm okay with that.
See, I think that's totally wrong, because if you were at your job and you had some random person come in,
But my job is not in the
it doesn't
public eye.
matter. It's their job. It doesn't matter if it's in the public eye or not. That's their job. They cannot, that's what they've trained their whole life to do, just like anybody that goes to college and they became a financial analyst. When they're sitting at their desk and someone comes in and they're saying, I paid money into this company, and so I'm going to come in and I'm going to, you're a bitch and your mom's a whore and all this stuff. Like, you're just going to sit there and be like, well, I mean, they paid their money. I'm just going to do my job.
Well, okay. So if you take the fans out of it and you just let the players go at it, what's the difference?
Well, I don't, as a fan, I'd have no problem saying, you know, you suck, you're trash, overrated,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But when you start calling somebody out of their name, when you start calling somebody, again, a bitch, when you start talking about someone's family, their mom, that's universal. That's
Okay.
crossing the line.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't talk. By all means, I'll talk a lot of smack on the sideline. I'm going to tell them they're trash, they're garbage. But I'm never going to sit there and call them out of their name or disrespect their family. And the fans that do that, I think they should be banned from the arena for life. For life. I don't care what you pay for those seats, because if you get those seats taken away, guess what? There's 20 other people that'll freaking buy them tomorrow.
You're correct.
You're not that important.
But are you getting worse fans or are you getting better fans?
You don't know, but you know you're getting freaking rid of, you know what I'm saying, rid of those.
Yeah, maybe there should be some, I guess, some keywords that you cannot mix into your trash talk.
And I say what you want, but if a player punches you in the mouth, you just got to sit down and bleed.
And then sue them.
Because that's exactly what will happen.
Because
That is exactly what will happen.
Yep, I agree.
And that's what a lot of people, like back in the day, people would purposely try to provoke Mike Tyson for that exact same reason. People that would see him in the casinos and stuff, they would because he was a hothead.
Yeah.
And they would know if he punches me, which is likely to happen if I'm
Guaranteed.
right? I can sue him and I can get some money.
Yep. I mean, what are these fans doing this? What is their end game? What do you want to accomplish by this? I mean,
Get their attention, get a conversation with a superstar.
but I will say, if I bought tickets, so say the Lakers come to town and I buy Kings tickets and I'm sitting 2 rows behind the Lakers bench and LeBron decides not to play because he needs load management again. For literally the 2 hours I'm at the game, I'm going to be in his ear.
Oh, I would be too. But I would never call him a bitch.
Because-
talk about his kids or his family, but the whole time I would tell him that that's a scumbag move.
Yeah, I may call him a bitch at that point in time. I won't include his family because his family has nothing to do with it. I mean, they got to deal with him anyways. So I feel sorry for them in that regards. But just for the fact that you pay all that money to go see him play and he decides to opt out because he's literally a bitch, then he needs to know about it.
See, that's where you and I differ a lot. I don't know if I know we have different backgrounds and stuff, but like I said, someone that I don't know calls me a bitch, we're throwing hands. That's it. Yeah. Win or lose, I don't care, but you're going to get punched in the mouth. That's it.
Touche.
All right. Let's get into our next division breakdown. Last week, we did the AFC East. This week, we're going to jump to the NFC East, and we can start with the Cowboys.
I got him first on the list.
Me too. Go ahead. What you got?
All right. So the Dallas Cowboys, I don't care what they do. Literally, I don't care what they do. Because if they match up with Green Bay in the playoffs, they're going to lose again.
It don't matter who they match up with, they're going to lose. They're great in the freaking regular season.
But it's just the best part of the season for when You get all of the Cowboy fans all hyped up and ready to go. Hey, we won the NFC East division title. Congratulations.
Big deal.
We got a home playoff game. Congratulations.
Get out of here.
Then you get spanked by the Packers.
Yep.
Green Bay has won more playoff games in Jerry World than Dallas has.
Yep.
And it's such a beautiful thing. But, all right. So to get back to what is happening. All right. They're pending free agents. Tyron Smith
is the biggest one by far.
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard's gone. He underachieved so bad.
But their backup after that is Deuce Vaughn. Where are we going there?
But they could easily draft somebody. That's one advantage that they have, is that they are pretty set offensively besides running back. They don't need really anything else. They're set at every other position. Most of their players, most of their big name players are under contract. So they don't really have any huge needs. They don't need a wide. They don't have needs that are going to cost them a ton of money. Wide receiver, quarterback. They have their secondary. They got to see if they're going to retain Stephen Gilmore or not.
But the quarterback thing is interesting because Dak Prescott is still the contract that he has isn't like a secured contract.
Mm-hmm. That's Jerry Jones' fucking guy, though. I don't know why, but that's his guy.
But if they fail again, is he going to be the guy after next year? Failure.
Well, I mean, we'll worry about that next year.
So
that's one thing about Jerry. He knows he don't have long left. He's not looking too good.
No.
And he has no problem spending money.
No, I agree.
He will bring in, if he thinks he can win a championship, he will bring in whatever takes.
Yeah.
Again, you said Tyron Smith. He's one of the best tackles in the game when he's healthy, but the past couple of years, he struggled to stay healthy. They got a big decision there. He's also, I believe, 33. So they got a big decision on whether they're going to re-sign him or not. But if they don't, that's a big hole to fill.
It is.
That is a big hole to fill.
That's the left tackle.
Yeah. Tony Pollard, like you said, I think he underperformed so bad that I think they let him walk. I don't think they're not signing running backs for a lot anyway, league wide. They're not getting a lot of money. So even if he does stay, he's not going to really affect their, cap too much. He's not getting top tier, money. So, but I mean, they could also bring in a lot, but I think what they need is someone that can shore up their run defense because their pass defense is pretty good. But I could really see them going after someone like Patrick Queen. He's a free agent. I could see him I see him in their draft just going after offensive linemen. So like I said, I think someone like Patrick Queen could really, really help their run D. I do believe that they're going to go after O-linemen in the draft. For them, I could see him trying to trade up in the draft, trying to get someone like J.C. Latham from Alabama. They need a running back also, like we said, but I see them going after a running back later in the draft if they do not get one in free agency.
Yeah, I don't think any running back will be drafted in the first round anyways.
No. This is a strong wide receiver and quarterback class, but running back, no.
It's not. They also have to address the defense because Gilmore's up in age and he's a free agent. Yeah. J-Rod Curse, their strong safety, is also a free agent. I don't know if they're bringing him back or not. Right. They definitely got to shore up the middle of their defense.
Well, Diggs will be back next year.
Correct. But he's give up a touchdown, I'll get a pick. I'll give up another touchdown, I'll get a pick.
He's a double move nightmare.
Yeah, he is.
He goes after the ball, but that cost him a lot too.
Yeah, he is one of the guys that gives up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when they pick at 24, I think they're actually going to try to go defense. I think they're going to go corner. It's either the corner, possibly Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama.
He's not going to drop that far, I don't think.
I think he will. He may still be there 25 when Green Bay picks, which I really hope they don't go that direction. But I also think based off of what took place in the playoffs and the fact that they got zero pass rush on Jordan Love, I mean, he was back there just destroying them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you have one guy on one side, but you got nothing on the other. And that's where possibly a Chop Robinson from Penn State will be available that they go on that.
Nice.
So
yeah, that's where I think it all depends on what they do with Tyron Smith. I think if they re-sign him, they go defense. I think if they let him go and they don't re-sign him, I think they go O-line in the draft.
But if they do start spending money, salary cap is negative $9 million, which isn't a big number.
They'll just restructure stuff.
Yeah. Free agents that they could target, possibly L'Jarius Sneed or Devin White from Tampa Bay to fill the hole that Van Der Esch can't.
Devin White's really nice.
Yeah, he can't keep healthy. So, I mean, that's a couple ways that's a possibility.
All right, the Philadelphia Eagles, they folded in the second half of the season, really underperformed all season.
Like a cheap, they were 10-1, and then they were a cheap suit.
They were a very ugly 10-1, I will say that. But the way that they capped it off with the 32-9 ass whooping that the Bucs handed them in the wild card, they looked absolutely atrocious. The first thing they need to do is revamp their secondary. Their secondary got torched by Baker.
But what's interesting with that team is when they were 10-1, they were perfectly fine. They changed their defensive coordinator to Matt Patricia, and he literally destroyed them.
Well, Darius Slay and James Bradbury, the second half of the season, it could have been their, coordinator, but they looked a step behind everybody. Yeah. They did not look the same. They looked like they lost a step. I like Keely Ringo a lot, but I think that's the only rookie that they had last year that could step in right now and be a full-time secondary starter right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about Eli Ricks. I don't really like him too much. He's okay, but I think that they need that. But they also need another wide receiver because when A.J. Brown went down, they looked terrible. Or they need another tight end because when Dallas Goedert went down, they looked terrible.
Yeah, the injuries kind of hurt them a lot on the offensive side.
Yeah, A.J. Brown looked, I don't know. But like you were talking about Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think the Eagles might be going after him.
See, I have Philly and Dallas kind of in the same boat. The free agents for Philly is Kevin Byard, who a strong safety that they brought over from Tennessee. They just cut him to save like $13 million or some shit. Fletcher Cox
I think he retired.
He's still there. Jason Kelsey just retired.
He retired, but I thought Fletcher Cox did. I thought he just did the other day.
Okay, I'll have to look back at that, but I know he's a pending free agent. Brandon Graham is a pending free agent. And
all their running backs, Boston Scott, Rashad Penny, and DeAndre Swift, all free agents.
Yes, DeAndre Swift's the only one you need to bring back.
If they do, yeah. But, yeah, they're all free agents. They also have to pay Devontae Smith. His contract's up, and they got to give him a contract.
Yeah.
And they're definitely going to be giving him a contract.
Yes.
So, they got a little bit of problems. Like I said, that second half of the season, they looked like an entirely different team.
And Jalen Hurts is not going to win you football games if he's behind. They have to be able to run the football because he's not a come from behind quarterback. He never has been. He's a front runner. And then you can run the ball and you can lean on him to run the ball.
There was something missing last year between him and A.J. Brown because the season before that, it seemed like every game A.J. Brown was getting a touchdown. He had a great season 2 years ago. Last season, I just thought he massively underperformed. I don't know how many touchdowns that he had right off the bat, but it just seems like he was absent for such long periods of time. And I'm sure injuries had something to do with that. But, I had him in fantasy, and he killed me. Absolutely killed me.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to Jalen Hurts. He doesn't really take the top off the defense with A.J. Brown's speed. His catches are a lot of contested catches that are down the field because he can't get behind the defense. I'm not a huge fan of what they were trying to achieve offensively, especially.
I don't know what they were. Yeah,
when they ran DeAndre Swift a lot, they looked a lot better.
Yeah,
when they went away from DeAndre Swift is when they didn't look good. So I don't know exactly what their game plan is for the pending draft.
Yeah.
But my guess is they're going to go defense and probably defense heavy again, and they're probably just going to go draft everybody from Georgia.
Yeah, the Cowboys and the Eagles, like you said, are both in similar situations where their main core are pretty set. They're almost exactly the same. Their wide receivers are set, quarterback set, question a running back, right? Need help on defense, possible offensive line.
Yeah.
But losing Kelsey's huge. He's one of the best centers of all time.
Correct.
And everybody says that the quarterback's the most important position on the field. I have a strong argument. Obviously, he touches the ball every single time, so yes. But center's 1A and 1B because they're calling out so much stuff for the quarterback and the line and everything else. You having a Hall of Fame center as compared to just an average run-of-the-mill center is a difference between a championship and not making the playoffs. I mean, it's a massive deal, and to lose him, that's not something you could just plug somebody in and be like, be as good as him. You know what I mean? Like, and on top of that, the tush push, he was the center of that.
Yep.
And that might take, no, I mean, it's not going to take it away, but that's going to drastically affect that. And how many touchdowns did they get off of that? That was almost unstoppable.
It's not even the touchdowns, it's the 4th and 1s that you couldn't stop.
God, none. Because other teams, you don't say try it, they failed a lot. The Eagles were almost perfect on that.
What hopes to have a 240-pound running back as your quarterback?
Yes, it does.
So.
Yes, it does.
But yeah, they I see them the same issue as Dallas, and the fact that they draft one position below them is even better.
In the same division, that's going to be interesting.
So
one's gonna screw the other for sure.
Yeah, is Dallas going to try to make moves?
I'm sure they will
to get ahead of them.
I'm sure they will.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I did hear that Saquon Barkley, which I know the Giants are coming up, they're looking to probably tag him again for the second straight year. So
they better.
He was an option that Philly may go and try to get, or hopefully try to get.
I did hear today that the Broncos have informed Russell Wilson that he will be released.
He's going to be released.
I knew that was going to happen.
That was guaranteed after he got.
They're going to eat like $89 million in, you know what I'm saying, money because of that. How bad do you?
How much of it is dead money though?
I think all of it.
Okay.
But how bad do you got to not like a player to eat that much money after 1 year?
Yeah, I don't. Denver's a interesting situation.
They're the only ones that I'm glad that are in our division. All right, New York Giants. They have a decent amount of cap space, and they're going to need all of it because they need a lot of help in a lot of different areas. The only good thing is they have the 6th overall pick, and they have 4 picks in the first 70. Yep. So they have a lot of picks. But question number 1 is Daniel Jones, their quarterback. He struggled last year bad before he even went out with injury. He's on a 4-year, $160 million contract. If they don't tag Saquon Barkley, he's gone. He's going to get paid. There's too many teams looking for a running back right now. He will get paid. And they're not going to pay him when other teams are going to freaking, pay him. So they better freaking, tag him. The only problem with him is the injuries. He's having a hard time staying healthy. I mean, he was healthy his first year, went off, got hurt, was out the whole year, played 14 games last year. I mean,
how much of the injury is caused by the turf?
Yeah, I mean, that's not going to change. I mean,
he can go to a place where it's got grass.
Yeah, but he's still going to play on the road where they have turf. Yeah. You're not going to stay off the grass. I think that they're going to have to franchise tag him. They also got to decide what they're going to do with safety Isaiah Simmons. They got him from the Cardinals for a 7th round pick, so they didn't give up too much, but he played pretty well. And if they keep him, his market value right now is around $16 million. Are you going to pay that? Or are you going to let him walk on a team that's already struggled pretty bad?
Yeah. Well, it gets worse than that because you've got Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney, both in the defensive secondary that are free agents.
Xavier McKinney is the probably one of the best safeties in the league, and he's going to have to get paid.
Yeah, and one of their better defensive ends, Sean Robinson, is also. Mm-hmm.
And they have so many holes, bro. They need offensive line help. They need wide receivers. They need tight end. Darren Waller's not it. I love Darren Waller, but he's not it. Although he's probably going to get one more year because he's only, I think, going to hit like $7 million on the cap.
They just need to use him the right way.
Yeah,
he's a big,
No,
big target.
Dude, when he's healthy, he's probably the best tight end in the league. When he's healthy,
Yeah.
he's uncoverable. But what I think is going to happen, like I said, they have the 6th pick, right? I see him getting a wide receiver, Romeo Dunze or LSU's Malik Neighbors, and then getting a quarterback in the 2nd round. I don't think they're going to stick with Daniel Jones coming off of an ACL injury. He just didn't prove anything. I don't know why they gave him a contract in the first place.
Because he was the next one up.
Yeah.
He was the next one in the line to get a contract. And they didn't have anything else to go with after that.
Exactly.
I mean, you got to start Tyrod Taylor anymore?
Yeah. I mean, he's had enough chances. They got a lot of holes, and they're not going to be able to fill all of them.
If they do not trade up to draft a quarterback to replace Daniel Jones, then I believe they will go Malik Neighbors from LSU. If by chance one of the top 3 teams don't select their quarterback and either the LSU quarterback, Jalen Daniels, or Drake May drops to 6, they will draft him.
I don't think there's a chance that happens, but you never know. We say that every year, and then it's like people that we thought are going to be going 2nd or 3rd drop to freaking 11th or 12th. It's like people always try to outsmart themselves. All these general managers, think that they're geniuses and want to prove like, I saw it in them. I got the steal of the draft and blah, blah, blah. They over, you know what I'm saying? Think it way too much.
I saw a little clip earlier today for the 2017 draft of how TV personalities don't know shit about anything.
Yeah.
Listening to Stephen A. Smith talk about Patrick Mahomes as not being draftable and whatever it was, and another guy at his show that used to be there, I know he got fired, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, saying all of these bad things about Patrick Mahomes, his bad footwork, his bad arm release, whatever the case may be, saying that he wouldn't draft him in the first 3 rounds.
Right.
And then you hear the owner of the Chiefs, or the general manager of the Chiefs, day of the draft, after they've drafted him, he's got all the support with everything for Patrick Mahomes. He's going to come in, he's going to do this job, he's going to do that job, and be the best thing we've had.
Right.
And have him be the correct one, and all the analysts now looking back saying, man, I missed that one. Because you see what we see.
Right.
Scouts and people who do this for a living on a daily basis, who sees talent,
Right.
sees different things than what we see.
100%.
And
They go over freaking hundreds of hours of film.
And it just gets me that all these TV personalities, they don't go back and say, hey, man, I made a mistake here.
Yeah.
They'll double down with the shit later on.
Well, what I hate is I'm so tired. Like Caleb Williams, he may come in the league and become one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Who knows?
If he goes to the Bears, it's not going to happen because they'll get his ass traded.
But I am so tired of them labeling these quarterbacks who have never thrown a pass in the NFL as generational talent. I am so sick of hearing that, because you hear it all the time. This is the next guy. This is the next guy. 1 out of every 15 or 20 quarterbacks come in that are drafted that are supposed to be the guy that actually pan out. There's so many busts. And Caleb Williams, just how he's coming across right now, I wouldn't want him on my team. He seems like the biggest freaking diva. And I love USC. USC is my squad. I cannot stand how he's coming across. He is coming across like a complete diva that I wouldn't want in my locker room.
He needs to dump his father.
Oh my God.
Because he is killing him. And he needs to get and hire an agent.
And to sit there and
try to do all
and
this
talk
crap.
about he's the next Patrick Mahomes, calm down. Calm down.
Your team,
Stop comparing somebody to Patrick Mahomes.
your team was not good.
No,
USC.
no, it's crazy. All right, let's get to the last team, the Washington Commanders.
Possibly the Redskins again, by the way.
I'm so happy to hear that. For those of you that have not heard, there is a tribe that is trying to get the Redskins name back from the Washington Commanders to the Redskins, because they're saying that the logo on the helmet that all us white people are saying is so damn offensive, was actually paying homage to an actual Native American who was like a hero to them, and it was paying homage, and they were proud of it, and they want that back.
Yep.
Stop trying to change shit. Oh my God, everybody's so sensitive nowadays. Jesus.
Yeah. Get a backbone.
For real. All right, back to the Commanders/Redskins.
Sorry to put you up on the soapbox.
This is going to be a very interesting year. Dan Quinn comes in. There's a ton of questions with a new head coach anyway. Mm-hmm. Number one, is Sam Howell going to be his quarterback? And with the number 2 pick in the draft, we're going to find out very early.
See, I think my number one thing was the offensive coordinator with Bieniemy leaving.
Yeah.
And how he was supposed to be touted as the next big thing.
He just went to college.
He's now out of college.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Dan Quinn bringing in for his offense?
Right.
And what is his strategy with that?
Well, I will say a lot of people don't like how I like Sam Howell. I think he did not have a lot of help. His offensive coordinator was, I don't know what Bieniemy was doing last year, but he was not doing him any favors. I think he looked really good at times, and then other times I think he looked really bad. But I will also say it's very unfair to these quarterbacks nowadays that they come into a system that is not ran very well, and they're given a year or two until their coach gets fired, and then a new coach comes in and he wants to start a whole new regime.
You're talking the Chicago Bears. Because they do it. That
All
is
the time.
For decades.
Mm-hmm.
That's been their MO.
Yep.
They draft a quarterback. They get him no help.
Mm-hmm.
And then the offensive coordinator is gone the next year and they bring somebody else in.
Well, look at the quarterbacks that are very successful in the league. Most of them sat behind a veteran quarterback for a couple years, learned the system very well, and then got in there. They weren't thrown in as a rookie with a bad offensive line, limited weapons on offense, and told, carry us, and then you don't do it, and they're like, yeah, you're not very good, bro. Next.
Yeah, see, how I would do it, I know I'm not a general manager, and nor will I be ever paid like one, is if you do bring in the quarterback and you start him with what you have around him, see what works, see what's good, see what's bad, and then adjust to it in the coming year.
Right.
Don't fire all of the people that has assisted him to this point.
Yep.
Because whoever comes in could screw him up even worse.
Yep.
Get him what he needs to be successful.
Right.
And that doesn't happen. It's a what have you done for me now league.
Yep.
So the NFL stands for not for long.
That's
if you
it.
keep throwing interceptions.
That's it. So they do have the number 2 pick in the draft. It's either going to be Drake May, Jaden Daniels, or Marvin Harrison. We will know really quick if they plan to keep Howell, because if they plan to keep Howell, it's going to be Marvin Harrison.
I think if they plan to keep Howell, they're going to trade out of that spot and trade down and collect more picks.
I just don't know, because a wide receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr. is, I don't think, something you can pass on. I believe he is going to be hands down a star receiver in the league.
We said that about Jamar Chase. We said that against Justin Jefferson, both out of LSU.
Mm-hmm. They're stars in the league.
They were stars in the league prior to the draft, but they all got drafted later.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find the star wide receiver later, and Xavier Worthy is probably that guy.
He possibly is.
So I don't think Marvin Harrison is going to be in the top 3. If anything, he probably goes 4 to Arizona because they need all the help they can get.
So sorry for him if he did.
But
oh my God.
But I believe that Washington, if they stick with Hal, which I believe Hal can be good in this league.
I do
if
too.
Give him the right situation. He's got the talent.
Yeah.
He just needs to fix his decision making because it's not good.
Yeah.
But I believe the top 3 picks are going to be quarterbacks, but I don't think the teams that are necessarily there are going to be the ones picking those quarterbacks. I think there's a lot of draft capital you can obtain by trading down.
Well, I will tell you what, I'm almost positive that the Raiders are going to do everything they can to get Jaden Daniels because Antonio Pierce has a relationship with him. He's already been very outspoken about wanting him. So I would not be surprised if the Raiders gave up a lot, like we normally do, to get who we want. So I wouldn't be surprised if that, happened.
Yeah, but how much do they have coming off of the trade to Green Bay? Have they finished those picks that have been sent to Green Bay? Devontae Adams? Because I know that there were multiple firsts or multiple seconds and other things going to Green Bay for Devontae Adams.
I know that when we changed the GM and everything, I know there was a lot of talk from Mark Davis about being very aggressive in this year's draft. And that was one of the points of hiring the GM that he did, because he wanted him, the ex-Charger, wanted him to be very, very, aggressive, because I like Aiden O'Connell. He's not the one. I hate to say it, but he's not the one. Not right now anyway. He could be, maybe, in the future, but right now he's not. And with the talent that we have on offense right now, we have a 2-year window. We have to make something happen, or we're going to be back like we always are, and we'll be at the freaking bottom tier.
Well, with that said, with a 2-year window, do you bring in a Russell Wilson now with the talent that you have?
Man, that's what I've been hearing, and I really don't. I'd rather roll the freaking dice with.
But the thing is, if you bring in a Russell Wilson and say you draft a Bo Nix at wherever they're drafting 10, 12, whatever the number is, could he be just the bridge to Bo Nix?
See, I think if we don't trade up, I think we trade down. And I think we go after like J.J. McCarthy or something. I think we just get somebody later on and try to give more, more picks back. But we're talking about the Redskins. So they have 6 picks in the top 102, but they also need edge rushers. They traded Montez Sweat and Chase Young. They're going to need a tight end. Logan Thomas has definitely underachieved. And if you do draft a quarterback, we all know a good tight end is your best friend. And tight ends have been really good in recent drafts. There's been some good tight end talent coming out of college in the past few years.
So there's a couple of free agents out there that they can go by too.
Mm-hmm.
There's Hunter Henry's out there.
Yeah.
They probably need another receiver. Go after a Ridley or a Pitt. You have $96 million under the cap.
Yep.
You have a lot of money to spend.
Of money.
So they can go out and do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting what Dan Quinn does.
Yeah.
When the free agency window starts to open.
Oh, I can't wait. There's going to be some movement. But Mike Evans already re-signed.
Evans is gone.
2 years. T. Higgins was freaking franchise tagged, which I thought was kind of dumb. So the only one really out there is Michael, Pittman, Calvin Ridley. There's still some names out there, but I was saying the other day, I was talking to somebody else. I would love it. I know you don't freaking like him, but I would have loved to have seen Mike Evans go to the Ravens. I thought that would have been so nasty to have Zay Flowers and Mike Evans. Get rid of Odell. He old as hell. But even if, keep him nice little, third receiver, to have Zay Flowers and Mike Evans, that would have been nasty.
Yeah. You still have Lamar Jackson throwing it to him, though. I'm not a fan of that.
I know you aren't, but he is the MVP of the league for a reason.
I think it's by default. Nobody else had a great season.
All right. So we talked about it, and one of the things that I brought up in the podcast last week was Ricky Henderson holding up the third base when he broke the all-time record, and it got us thinking about the top 10 most iconic sports photos of all time, right? So Tim and I both came up with our top 10, and obviously these are subjective. There's hundreds of thousands of photos. So
some are iconic, some are just ones that, damn, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
we got our list of 10. We're going to go from 10 to 1. I'll give 10, he'll give 10, I'll give 9, he'll give 9. So we'll go from there. All right. I'll start off with my number 10 is Scottie Pippen holding up Michael Jordan in the flu game. That was, as a kid, I mean, MJ was, I think, most of our heroes. We tried to freaking be like him all the time out there on the court. For me, it was. And that game, for those of you that do not know, it wasn't the flu game. He actually had food poisoning. The story goes he ordered a pizza. There was a bunch of guys that came to deliver the pizza to his room.
This was in Utah, right?
In Utah, series was tied 2-2. He got the pizza. There was a bunch of people with him. He was the only one that ate the pizza. And then a few hours later, he was in the fetal position crying, dude. So
they got poisoned.
Oh, 100%. But that game, he played 44 minutes and had 38 points. One of the most iconic things I've ever seen.
It was a good game.
Yes, sir.
All right, my number 10 is, speaking of Odell, his one-headed catch on either Sunday night or Monday night.
Greatest catches of all time.
Correct. I
still don't know how he caught it, even with the sticky gloves.
Yeah, it's just the way that he caught it and was able to get 2 feet in.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't stand the dude personally.
Yeah.
He's just a dick. But that catch was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. 100%. So my number 9, the catch. And this hurts coming from a damn Raiders fan. But Dwight Clark catching a touchdown in the back of the end zone in the NFC Championship game against the Cowboys. It's just one of those pictures that it'll live forever. I mean, that was such an incredible catch. You know what I mean? Back of the end zone, such an important time, back in their freaking heyday. Yep. And it's
49ers, Dallas.
Yep. And it was just one of those freaking pictures I've seen a million times.
Yeah, every Montana rolls right. He has nowhere to go, and all of a sudden there's a tight end flashing down the end line.
6'4", 6'5", whatever he was, 6'8", whatever he was.
Tried to throw it over his head. And he caught it. So, yeah. All right, my number 9 is Hank Aaron hits home run 715, surpassing Babe Ruth as the all-time leader. Either the still photo of his actual bat swing or his rounding the bases when all of the fans are following him. That is just an iconic. The Babe Ruth was the greatest hitter of all time, and getting past into home runs it's a feat that should probably never have been broken, but it did.
I actually have that later on. That's actually one of mine also. I'm sure that we'll have a couple that match. I will definitely have a couple you don't have, I think, though. All right, number 8 for me is Wilt Chamberlain's 100 when he's sitting in the locker room holding up that says 100. That, to this day, remains a mystery if that even happened. I was just reading an article on that last week where they said that didn't happen. There's no evidence of it. There's no video of it. A lot of people said it was a publicity stunt. It was held in the game was in some random farmhouse or something. So no one really knows if that really happened. There's no evidence of the game. But that picture of him in the locker room holding up the piece of paper that has 100 on it is just one of the most infamous pictures of all time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wish they could solidify that it was true.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a box score of the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, I believe he did it just based off his.
Well, then he's playing against freaking 5'8" plumbers too.
Correct. Yeah.
So
it's not hard to get 100.
Yeah. I might have been able to do that.
All right. My number 8 is the last putt from the 1997 Masters with Tiger.
Now, I almost put that on here. I didn't, but I almost did.
Yeah, he just the way that tournament shaped golf in the coming years and coming decades is just amazing.
Well, I mean, he made that was the only time when Tiger was in his prime. It was the only time in my life, and I married into a golf pro, Nick Watney.
Correct.
Right? He's my cousin's wife's nephew.
Yeah.
Right? And even with that, I've never played golf. I don't have the patience for it. I never really was into golf. When he started playing is the only time in my life I ever watched golf, and I was into it.
Yeah, I got to meet Nick a few times. I've played golf with him a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good guy. I loved watching him play in Reno a couple times. He's just a really.
He was a man for a while.
Yeah.
All right, my number 7 is, to me, this is one. It's not just the photo; it's the significance that it had in history, and that is the 1968 Olympics Black Power Salute with Tommy Smith, who won the gold, John Carlos, who won the bronze, both holding up their fist on the podium while the American anthem was played. It was one of the very first examples of a social statement being made at the Olympics. But what I really like is that a lot of people don't know is the backstory, is the third person on the podium was an Australian named Peter Norman, who won the silver.
He was in front.
Yeah. And he was wearing a patch, which you can't see, which they were all wearing, which was protesting racial segregation and racism in sports. Those three stuck together their entire lives after that. And when Norman died in 2006, Carlos and Smith were both pallbearers at his funeral. So that's a backstory that not a lot of people know about, but that right there is just, not only is it an iconic photo, but it was at a time in our history when racial segregation was very high. And that was the first time that there was really on a public stage where athletes were kind of standing up.
Yeah.
So
no, I saw that photo. It is a moving photo.
Absolutely.
And then it just brought me back to the Kaepernick bullshit and how bad that got blown up.
Yeah. Kaepernick's a whole different story. That dude's
Yeah.
a fucking clown.
So
Still trying to get on with the team after he took that money, though.
yeah. Yeah, it's not about the money, right, Cap?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, my number 7 is Jordan's free throw line dunk from the 1988 All-Star.
I got that up higher too. Yeah, absolutely, that's one.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It was him against Dominique Wilkins, and it was probably one of the best dunk contests. Even though the dunks nowadays have a little more pizzazz, a little more to them.
Yeah.
These were dunks that were never done before.
Absolutely.
And it was just iconic that he did it.
Yes, he was literally flying in the air. Yeah, he had a foot over the line.
Yeah, he stepped inside the line a little bit, but they still
It was still something no one ever did.
Correct. And it just, if I'm not mistaken, the tongue's kind of hanging out.
Yep. And I think everybody had that freaking poster in their room at some point in their life.
Correct. It was just like iconic time.
My number 6 is one you already said. Mine is the Hank Aaron trot around the bases when he broke Babe Ruth's record. The picture I'm talking about is when the first two fans come up to meet him when he's rounding second, going to third. That was just a record that, like you said, no one thought would ever be broken. It was one of those unbreakable records. And when it was broken, it was such a shock to everybody that it could be broke, and he wasn't done. Yeah. So that's what was crazy about it. So definitely a big one.
All right, my number 6, this wouldn't even be on your radar. The Holyfield Tyson fight where Tyson chopped his ear off.
Yep, I almost put that one on. I think I did.
And not only chopped one ear, but decided to go and chop the other one too.
After he spit the ear out.
Yep. I just remember watching that fight and then seeing the still photos after the fact when literally Tyson just has that angry look in his eye. I'm going to eat you.
Yeah.
And he ate him.
Yeah.
And it's just...
That's like, it sucks so bad because Mike Tyson is my favorite heavyweight besides Muhammad Ali that ever lived. And I always wonder if his head was on straight, how great could he have been? Because he was already great.
Yeah.
But there was so many, like at the end of his career, he was just taking fights to take fights. He was losing to people that he would have knocked out in 30 seconds. But some of the things that he did when he was young, he had so many fighters beat before they even stepped in the ring. They were so scared. Oh. And for him to knock Michael Spinks out in like 39 seconds, people forget how good of a boxer Michael Spinks was.
Yeah.
I mean, what he did was unbelievable.
I mean, he got a couple guys kind of on their downturn of their careers when he was
Larry Holmes and
Larry Holmes was bad. But if I'm not mistaken, was it Lou Duva
that beat him?
No, his first manager that passed away early.
Oh, oh my God, Gasper. What the hell is his name? I cannot believe I'm not remembering.
Yeah.
The old white dude that freaking took him in and trained him.
Yeah, and he passed away early, and it's like
he was a money grab for anybody after that.
It's like something happened to Tyson after that. I don't know the relationship or what happened.
Well, I know that growing up, he had a really bad childhood. Gus D'Amato, right? I think so. I think he's the only one that truly showed Tyson compassion, didn't care about him making money. And I think he's the only one that Tyson ever really put 100% trust in. Yeah. And after that, I think he just got done wrong by so many people. Yeah, Robin Givens and everybody else.
There were too many people taking from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely agree.
All right, so number 5 for me is Lou Gehrig's speech on July 4th, 1939, when he called himself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. He had played 2,130 consecutive games before he got sick with Lou Gehrig's disease, and he died less than 2 years after that speech. But the speech where the picture is him standing at the mic, and off to the right, you can see Babe Ruth. And to me, that's I will never forget hearing that speech for the first time and having someone with the unknown disease at that time that was one of the best to ever do it, to have a disease take you out so fast that you can't play anymore, and to still be strong enough to sit there and say, I'm the luckiest person on the face of this earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still, you know what I'm saying, moves me to this day. But yeah, definitely one of the most iconic, you know what I'm saying, pictures ever.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have it in my list, though. My number 5 is Willie Mays' over-the-shoulder catch in 1954 World Series.
Absolutely.
It's just an iconic picture of him. You see the backside of him. Mm-hmm. He's got the little basket out waiting for the ball to come over his head and catch it.
And those gloves aren't the same as they are now.
Those are some weird looking gloves.
Yes, they were.
But that's my number 5.
So my number 4, I think about this right now and it gives me goosebumps, dude. Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, Face Off, WrestleMania 3.
Oh, Detroit.
It was
Pontiac Silverdome.
People do not, like, younger kids, they have no concept of how big Hulk Hogan was and Andre the Giant were. WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. They have no idea how big that was at that time. That was the Michael Jordan of that era. There was nobody in the world bigger than Hulk Hogan. On that match, nobody thought Andre the Giant could be slammed. That was the big thing. He's too big. No one can do it. And Hulk Hogan picked him up with a little bit of a assist from Andre.
Well, they have to assist.
You have to. Surprised he didn't break the freaking ring. Slammed him. He won the match. And that was kind of like the ultimate takeoff of Hulk Hogan's, you know what I'm saying, career. But just Hulkamania was so crazy at that time. I just remember my dad was not buying it. That was like pay-per-view first coming out.
If that was closed circuit TV, it wasn't even paper.
Yeah. My dad was like, I'm not paying for that. I remember I had to go to my friend's uncle's house and just everybody being on pins and needles, dude. I believe it might be to this day, the highest capacity for a wrestle event ever. That was huge.
Yeah, there was
huge.
Yeah, it was inside the Pontiac Silverdome, and they didn't care to just keep shoving seats into that place.
No,
didn't matter if there were poles in your way or nothing. Yeah, they shoved everything they could in there.
Every seat they could get it,
and they actually came down in a little mini ring to the ring.
Yeah,
because it was such a long walk.
Just that picture of them facing off before the match starts, man, is like...
But do you know the backstory with that? So during the match, he tries to slam him one time.
Yeah, but his back...
Andre the Giant said, no, you're not going to slam me this time. You're not going to slam me in this match. I will not let you do it. As the match went on, you know wrestlers will talk to each other because they have to choreograph everything. Later on in the match, Hogan got him in a headlock or whatever it was, and he was talking to him. He's all, dude, you got to get me over. You got to get me over. And Andre finally said towards the end of the match, okay, I will help you slam me. And he does. He got him halfway up, and he kind of helped him over and got him down. But it was not going to happen because Andre said,
if Andre didn't want it to happen, it wasn't going to happen.
So I just thought it was funny that he let him have it and got Hogan over at that time.
Absolutely.
So, all right, my number 4 is Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston after knocking him out in 1965.
You son of a bitch, you're taking all mine.
It's just an iconic photo.
Yeah.
It just looks like he just hit him with a right hook and he's just staring at him on the ground. It's like, man.
Yep.
You just got.
Got. My number 3 is the Michael Jordan free throw line dunk. Yeah, same thing. Not only, again, when we were young, the dunk contest was such a major event. It was when the superstars did it. And yeah, Michael Jordan and Dominique were the faces of the dunk at that time. And to see him, I remember watching him back up to the other court, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Where are you going?
And when he took off, it was just like, no one had ever seen anything like that. No one, just the thought of someone jumping from the free throw line and dunking on a 10-foot rim at that time was unheard of. Yeah. You know, and so for that, yeah, I definitely had that picture up in my room for years.
Yeah, I wasn't a Jordan fan, so I never had any Jordans.
I was kind of obsessed.
All right, my number 3 is Vince Lombardi being carried off the field after winning the 1968 Super Bowl against your Raiders. It was the end of the greatest era of football that we had seen to that date.
Absolutely.
After that game,
that's a homer pick, by the way, though.
there's a reason the trophy is named the Vince Lombardi Trophy. So he was the greatest coach in NFL history. It was his final game as a Green Bay Packer because the following season he became the head coach of the Washington Redskins. It was just iconic that Jerry Kramer and I don't remember the other big guy's name that were carrying him off. They were with him from the start. It just signified the end of a dynasty.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest dynasty in football by far.
So my number 2 is another one. I'm a huge history buff, and this is another one that just the history that goes along with this photo. There's photos that are like, damn, that's cool. And then there's photos where you look at it years later and you're like, damn, that took some balls right there. And that was Jesse Owens at the Berlin Olympics in 1936, standing at the podium. That's when Hitler pretty much organized the Olympics for them to win everything. And Jesse Owens came in and won 4 gold medals, broke several freaking records. And what's so iconic about that picture is that he won the gold. He's standing on the podium at the highest with his hand on his heart with where the USA is. The other 2 competitors was a German dude who was throwing the Hail Hitler Nazi sign.
I saw
Yep. And the Japanese athlete who was just standing there, in which the USA later went to war with both of those countries.
Correct.
That, like, just seeing that picture. Well, you know, my grandpa was in World War II. My dad was in the Vietnam War. And just to see that picture and for him to do that on that stage, that took some balls.
Yeah.
That took some balls.
Literally, what was it, 6 months later, we're at war with Germany?
Yep.
And then a few years later, we bombed the shit out of Japan.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, I mean, yeah, no, I completely agree. My top 2 are more the greatest underdog stories in history.
Russia, USA.
My number 2 is Mike Tyson being knocked out by 50-1 underdog Buster Douglas, and the iconic photo of Tyson trying to
find his
mouthpiece in his mouth, laying in the corner, like, what the fuck just happened?
I will say that should have never happened because Buster Douglas got the slowest fucking count in boxing history.
Earlier in the
100%. That fool had a 13 count that somehow only went to 8.
Correct.
I don't know how that happened.
Just to land the shot heard around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not even baseball. This is undefeated. Nobody's going to ever touch you. Mike Tyson knocking everybody out in 30 seconds, going over to Tokyo and get your ass handed to you by a 50-1 underdog.
Dude, what's so funny about that?
Amazing.
I was such a huge Tyson fan. I remember being in high school when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you were right. He was such an underdog that I didn't even ask anybody to watch the fight. I could have went and watched it. I was like, he's going to knock him out hella quick.
It's going to take 40 seconds.
I had no idea. I woke up the next day, and back then we read the newspaper,
Mm-hmm.
and I opened the sports page, and it was front page. And dude, when I tell you I was in a bad mood for a week, I was pissed. I was like, because when you invest so much into an athlete or a team, the Raiders, and they let you down, bro, it's something that people that are not into sports like we are, they'll never understand. But it hurts. It freaking hurts, man. And I was sitting there like, I was just like, is this a joke? Is someone playing a joke on me? Like, there's no freaking way, man. And yeah, I would never put that in there because it hurt too bad.
It was an amazing story.
So my number one, you already said, the most iconic photo in sports history, in my opinion, is Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston after he knocked him out. It's such a popular photo. There was a lot of controversy around it because it was called the Phantom Punch because people didn't even think that he got hit.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is he threw that shit so quick, people at ringside weren't even sure that he got hit.
Yeah, this was in the first round too.
Yeah. But, you know, the way that he was standing over him, and again, context of history, you know what I'm saying? Like, the things that Muhammad Ali was going through, it takes a lot to overcome what he did and then perform at the level that he did for such a long time.
Yeah.
And that, you know what I'm saying, picture is like, that's just a badass picture.
It is.
You knock somebody out, you're standing over him just talking. Oh, dude, that's a badass picture.
Yeah. I mean, Muhammad Ali's got a couple of them. The Rumble in the Jungle with Foreman.
Oh, that was the best fight plan ever in the history of boxing.
Rope it down.
Ever.
Yeah. But my number one, you called it, is the Miracle on Ice. The 1980 U.S. hockey team after beating the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Soviet Union were such a juggernaut.
Oh, juggernaut.
Four-strand
College players.
Yeah, we have college players that were together for
Nobody
6 to 8 months.
Yep.
A coach that got them to learn a system that they've never done before.
Mm-hmm.
And I know everybody's watched the movie Miracle.
Mm-hmm.
It was just an amazing feat, especially after getting their asses handed to them 2 weeks prior to the Olympic Games by that same Russian team.
The Russian team was put together to dominate everybody. And it was the best of the best.
They beat the NHL All-Stars in games. There was this Champions Cup that they owned forever.
Yep, absolutely.
And just the fact that they were able to go out and skate with them and then beat them.
Yeah.
It was just an amazing, iconic photo of, I think it was Jack O'Callahan who was on Mike Ramsey.
Yeah.
In that photo. And it's just,
yeah, no, that was definitely one I was thinking about putting on the list because you're right. That was one of the most iconic moments in sports history. That was something that nobody, even people here, didn't think had a chance in hell of happening.
kind of ways that I wore the hockey jersey
Absolutely.
today. So,
all right, so what do you guys think about our list? Tell me if you guys think we missed something or if you think we nailed it. So it's time to lock it up, and oh, how the tables have turned. Oh, how the tables have turned.
I got to tell you, picking games like 4 days in advance when I don't know who's playing really sucks.
Hey, I was going to say, I couldn't have knocked it out the park any better. I told you, Baylor and Kansas. I told you Baylor was underdogs. I told you what was going to happen. They dominated the first time they played on rebounding. They had 21 turnovers to Kansas's 8. They were going to clean it up. They were favored by 6.5. They beat them by 7.
Yeah.
Lock it up.
That was a good one. Mine did not come through.
I cannot believe they lost to the Sheep, bro. Got their asses spanked. Oh, with half their team gone.
I know. It's the Kings are Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh my God.
I mean, they have the Bulls tonight.
Mm-hmm.
They should win this game, but I mean, who knows what you're going to get? I don't know if Fox is playing yet.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't even realize he was going to be out for a couple of games. All of a sudden, he's on the injured list.
Yeah.
So
that goes for my lock this week because, this is the freaking toss-up on if he plays, and I got to pick this. Kings and Lakers on Wednesday. I got to pick the Kings. I'm picking the Kings. I don't know what the spread is. I'm just picking the Kings to win outright. They won 14 of their last 21 against the Lakers.
Yeah.
They've dominated the Lakers as of late. And
are we at home?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just know every time they play the Lakers, I just hate that team so bad.
So bad, dude.
Everything about them.
If De'Aaron can play, he's going to play. He's not going to miss the Lakers.
I hope not. Especially, see, Wednesday night's I bowl, and they got the game on, and concentration on bowling is really difficult when I'm screaming at the Sacramento Kings playing the Lakers. It's going to be
I will say, my boy Malik Monk did ball out the other day without De'Aaron. He busted out 39. Do your thing, Monk.
Oh, that was against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Anthony Edwards left at halftime, he was having a baby.
Yeah.
Which I'm very grateful for, Mr. Edwards.
And the thing is, I didn't catch the game until the fourth quarter, so I didn't know what happened to Anthony Edwards. Yeah. I just saw him not on the floor. I'm like, what is happening? He was 2 for 11 at some point in time. Did he just quit? What's going on? And then I found out, his wife's out.
I'm pretty sure that Malik only had 9 points in the first half.
Yeah, he scored. He scored
off in the second.
All of his points in the second.
Oh my God!
So they have got to start making free throws and stop turning the ball over in the fourth quarter.
The Kings play to their competition, and you can't do that. Great teams play the same no matter who they're playing. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and they have tough games against the better opponents. But we're like the opposite. The great teams, we play them great.
Correct.
The shitty teams, we just, oh my God, I'm like, what is happening?
Jekyll and Hyde.
I will say I'm happy with Duarte lately, man. He's been making a difference, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah, and Davion
Mitchell's been balling.
He was like 5 for 5 at some point in time. 30. He's like, what is happening? When did you learn how to shoot? I mean, 3 of them were layups, but still. All right, so my lock, I'm going to go a little ways down the road. I have the Tennessee Volunteers winning the SEC tournament and leapfrogging one of the top 4 teams and becoming a number 1 seed in the South bracket.
Okay.
They're going to win the SEC.
That's going to be tough.
And they're going to get a number 1 seed.
That's going to be tough.
So they're going to leapfrog one of the 4 teams that are slated there now.
They could very well happen.
And they're going to be a 1 seed. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to get our brackets together. And I'll tell you right now, Tennessee is going to be one of my final 4, if not the championship.
All right, we only got a couple of minutes left. Let's get into the hobby real quick. Not a whole lot to talk about right now. I do want to say that we talked about how overpriced Impeccable was, and what a shock it's still on Panini's website because it's $1,600 for a few cards.
And no rookie quarterback autos.
Exactly. And it's just outrageously overpriced. But the big news is obviously PSA bought SGC. That's the big news. I haven't got all the details yet, but that's a big deal. SGC they've been around for a very long time. They're very prominent, especially with vintage baseball. A lot of vintage baseball collectors only want SGC graded cards. And from someone that does a lot of card shows, I used to grade all my stuff with SGC. I switched to PSA because with the modern stuff, people don't want SGC. They want only PSA.
Correct. The value is better with the slabs in PSA. But what will actually take place with PSA, since they have bought the rights to the color, the company itself, Is SGC going away?
And that's what I'm curious about. I don't think that they will. I think they're going to keep it two separate entities, but I don't know.
If that's the case, is SGC grading standards going to accompany what PSA currently does?
I can hope not, because they're hella inconsistent.
Well, that's kind of the thing is if they do, then the value through SGC may be a way to go and still not lose value on the cards.
Right.
If they're using the same markers that PSA is currently using in their grading scale.
That's one of the things I really like about SGC. I love the tuxedo. I love how it looks. I so much prefer their slab over PSA slab. You got the grade in a big bold number. I like how the black and white looks on the backdrop of a lot of cards, especially the silver prisms and the colorful cards. I just think that PSA, their slabs look very basic to me.
They do.
And yes, they do by far sell more and higher than SGC. But again, it's just weird to me because doing all these shows, you see the people with the vintage baseball from the 50s and the 60s, they will only grade with SGC. They will not grade with PSA because you will get more for an SGC vintage card than you will a PSA. It's stupid. Yeah. It's so dumb.
I don't understand the baseball side, but I do know that the PSA value of cards are better than the SGC value of cards. Mm-hmm. You see it in eBay sales, you see it at shows, and a lot of people only go after the PSA slabs.
Right.
But I have an issue with the PSA slabs when they start grading thicker cards because they grade them so much more difficult.
Oh my God. That's why Flawless and National Treasures go for such an astronomical amount when they get 10s.
Yeah.
Because it's almost impossible to get a PSA 10.
I mean, I'm afraid to send Flawless cards to them because I'm thinking they're going to get 8s when they could be 9s or 10s.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It'll be interesting what they do.
But what I prefer over SGC, because I grade a lot of cards, and I usually send in 75 to 100 at a time. I send 100 cards into PSA. On top of the fact it's going to cost me, $30 to $40 a card, I'm not getting those cards back for 3 to 4 months. SGC, it cost me $10 a card, regardless of how much the card is. That's something else. If you send a $10,000 card into freaking PSA, they're going to hit you for $1,000 to freaking, saying grade it. SGC is going to be no different. It's going to be the same $10, and you're going to get that card back to you in 10 days. It's a massive difference.
I don't understand how PSA charges so much for doing the same job they're doing with $100 card as they are with a $10,000 card.
What I don't like about PSA is the massive inconsistencies that I have found since grading as many cards as I do. Because I will have cards come back, and every card I send in, just like you, I go over with a magnifying glass. I do all the steps with the card care and the, microfiber and, making sure everything's, and I will not send it in if I don't think it's going to get a 10.
Correct.
And you get it back and it gets a freaking 6. And you're like, how in the hell and you look over it again. And then I look at some of my other cards I got back or some of the cards that I have bought, and they're a PSA 10, but they're noticeably off-centered. I'm like, how is this card that looks perfect that I can't see a print line, a blemish, that's perfectly centered? I got the tool to freaking measure it. What's wrong with this card as opposed to this card, which obviously is off-centered, but it gets a 10?
Yeah, I think that goes along with the person you have grading and what they're looking at or looking for. I don't think obviously it's not consistent.
Right.
But I also know that on a 10-key calculator, the 9 is just above the 6. So if you fat finger a number,
right,
normally the 9 is going to get fat fingered to a 6, which I can almost guarantee that happens.
And that's why I think all companies standard should do what like BGS does, and they should have the 4 criterias on the card: centering, corners, surface. They should have that on the card so you can see. So if there is a mistake and it says 95, 95, 995, and you get a 6, you can send it back for free rather than having to crack the slab, take a chance of damaging it, and then paying to send it back to have them grade the same freaking card again. Because I've done that. I've got cards back that are 6s, and I look at it and I'm like, there's no way. And I'll crack it and I'll send it back. You can't do it with numbered cards because it's already in the system. But for like silver prisms and stuff, I'll send it back and I've got it back and it's a 9. And I'm like, how did I send this last time and it's a 6 and this time it's a 9? It is the most frustrating thing because when I send out the card, and you send out 100 at a time, bro, that's thousands of dollars. And I'm not sending them out unless I'm going to make money on them. And you get back anything less than a 9, you got to crack it because the 8's going to sell the same as a raw.
But 6s have noticeable defects.
Right.
There are noticeable.
You should be able to look at it and be like, oh yeah, that corner's hella soft.
Yeah. And things are not soft, and there's no centering issues, and there's no blemishes, there's no dimples, there's no print lines.
Right.
How can those at any point in time get a 6?
What I want to know is some of these cards are purposely, they have no borders. It's just like a player. How do they determine if that's centered correctly?
Correct.
I hate that.
Yeah.
It's like, show me how you're doing it.
Yeah, the downtowns are the big ones.
Yeah.
The only thing on a downtown that you could possibly see is the name being possibly off center, left to right, that you can kind of tell where the borders would be at. But if that wasn't there, a downtown, you can't tell what's centered and what's not.
No. Same with like one of my favorite inserts of any product is from Black, NBA, and NFL, the White Knight. I love that card. It's just all white background with like the moon in the background and star. Beautiful card. I have a Giannis Antetokounmpo that I freaking pulled that I set to SGC and it got a 10. Those never get 10s. They always get 9s with PSA. That was one of the ones when I cracked my 150 SGC slabs and sent them to freaking, you know what I'm saying, PSA, I kept that one.
Oh.
Because I'm like, I'm not taking a chance of cracking a card that never gets a 10, sending it to PSA for it to get a damn 8 or something, some ridiculous.
Yeah, I have an Aaron Rodgers one of a couple years back.
White Knight.
Yeah, and I wanted to send it to PSA, but I didn't think it would get a 10 because
they hardly ever do.
Yeah.
If you look up White Knights on freaking eBay or any other site, very rare that they get a 10.
Yeah.
Very rare. You want to hand us our last shot there, beautiful bartender?
All right, so while we're getting shots rounded up, we are going to be doing our NC2A picks for the tournament here in a couple weeks when the brackets get dumped out on a Sunday afternoon. I want you guys to let us know what the bet we should have.
Let us know.
And then if it's a good one and it makes fun of somebody, so you got to dress up like something, you got to go do something.
I'm telling you, I'm not putting on no tutu. I'm telling you that.
Maybe we can put this into one of our podcasts of paying off the bet.
We might have to switch jerseys. I know he would love to wear a nice Raiders jersey. I might even go buy like a Jamarcus Russell jersey if I could find it.
That guy is so bad. You can probably find that at the 99 cents.
Goodwill.
So let us know what you think. Send us some comments of what a bet could be for the NC2A tournament. Obviously, it won't be paid off for a month because the tournament takes 4 weeks or so. But yeah, let us know. And we'll try to get that bet going and I can whip his ass again.
And ain't gonna happen, Captain. We see who the locks have been hitting lately. Yeah, holler at your boy. With that being said, right, cheers.
Cheers, man.
And with that being said, until next time, get out of my house.